What up, everybody? This is Super Mike. I'm out here making it happen on Father's Day. Y'all be blessed. Have a great Father's Day. We want to get into some of this politics stuff. Let me see if I can even get. I'm gonna try to sit out here actually. Hold on a second. Yeah, I got to be on my phone because the computer is messed up. Let's have my brother Leroy come over through, and we're gonna chop it up a little bit. Y'all, let me know if we can be heard. And I'm just going through. Let's sit out here. Here we go. Here we go. How's everybody? Like I said, we just want to go through a few things. On my phone, I can't do what I do on the computer. So, what up? Make sure y'all press the thumbs up button. Let me know if y'all can hear me clear. Because, this phone is a little bit different. The phone is a little bit different. But yeah, make sure y'all share the message and what have you. I just want to go over some of the stuff that we been seeing. So now you seeing really like the fall of America. Hold on a second. Okay. Yeah, I have to upgrade this more and more so that way we can actually. Oh, there it is. No. There it is. Now I gotta do differently to see this link in order for us to be able to go through it. But so if you look at the United States, if you look at this government, all before this government was a government, you've had black people out here saying, do the right thing. Slavery is wrong. You're stealing land. They're lying. They're hiding history. All throughout this process, our people, Black American, has been right here. And we have been trying to get this country on a more moral foundation, because you can't rule without morality. You cannot rule properly and for a long period of time without morality. 200 years is not a long period of time for a nation. 300 years is not a long period of time for a nation. So, the thing is, a lot of us, we're looking at our personal lifetime because we think this is a long time and this thing is going to last forever. Actually, no. This system is actually crumbling right before your face. It's been taken over by foreign nationals, Jews, Israeli governments. It's been, it's just been bamboozled. The white supremacists think they're the ones that they ran it, but the white supremacist type people, they're Jews, they're Jewish white supremacists, and they're regular white people. When you let them trick you to make you think that they're different, somehow they're separate groups of people. They're the same people. They're children of the Khazars. All right, and they're all included in this exploitative system that is designed to just basically steal money from large groups of people around the planet, and they lie, and so they hide the history so they don't have to be held accountable for it. So now that we know their game, they love to deflect. They want to break up and they want to suspend this system. They want to pretend like, oh, we're not white, we're Jews, or they're not white, that's the Jews. They did that. They want to send us on this shell game. Most of us are not falling for it anymore. They got the Democrat Republican game. That's a big game. Everybody knows what's up with that. And, So some of the main things now, like you said, this thing's been unraveling for a long time. It's not like this just happened, but we're seeing it more and more again to nowadays because the frequency is coming out. So hold on one second. Let me see if I can get. Let me see. Let me see if I can get somebody on here. Let's see if this works. There it is. All right, yeah. So the thing is, you got these immigrants, they're on screen, they're telling you the only reason why they're over here is to get money. So instead of protesting in their own country of Mexico, so they can receive a higher wage, so they can receive more pay, a decent wage, they would rather run over here to the United States and eat off of what the black people and the union folks have fought for. That's what the illegal immigration is allowed for. It's the corporations. They want to continue to undermine the union work. They want to undermine the work that black people and the negotiating power of black Americans so that they can continue to steal from people. That's what capitalism is about. It's about stealing from large groups of people with tricks and lies in a way that they can't really see it. And then even if you tell them, they have psychological barriers that they don't want to, they don't want to change the status quo. So that's what's happening here. You got folks that's coming through here. They've been here for years and decades, and they have a lot of citizens that are their family, which voted for Trump because they see themselves as white. You see what I'm saying? They see themselves as white, but at the same time, because they're not white, when push comes to shove, the white people are showing you who's boss. And now they want you out of here because what happens is you're actually changing their culture. And they are more threatened by that. They are more threatened by that. So hold on one second here. Yeah, make sure you guys share this message, press the thumbs up. It looks like we don't have anybody coming through. But I don't know if this thing is. I don't know if our connections went out. But yeah, this is basically the fall of America. This is what you're looking at. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad did teach us about this. God sends you people. And most of the time, reason why we reject people is because we think God is supposed to come to us the way we we want him to come to us. But the truth is, God's sending you people. Y'all let me know if y'all can hear me good. You press the thumbs up button. If you want to come up, just tell me to just hit the link. But there we go. Let's see. What's up? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm working on the Bluetooth. Hold on.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, was I coming through pretty good on that other side though? Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
All right, that's what's up. Yeah, it's coming through.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because sometimes I don't know how this phone works, but sometimes it'd be working and I'll just be talking and nobody could really understand what I'm saying. So, no, but what I was saying right before you came up is, see, this is what we witnessing. And I was telling you this the other day on the phone. We witnessing what's called the fall of America. This country is never going to get better, and we got to really deal with that fact. A lot of us, we thinking it's this, we thinking it's that. We swinging at leaves, but it's the root that's rotten. The root of this tree is rotten, and it's going to fall. That don't mean we gonna fall. It means it's gonna fall. And the reason why it's gonna fall is because it's based on lies. You know, they have to be forced to do everything good. I mean, this is from the beginning. You know, they rooted themselves in slavery. That's the foundation of this nation. Stealing, lying, rape, hiding of history. So that's the only way they know how to do business. So towards this nowadays, it's like we can see it more. We're able to see what's actually happening. But before then, a long time ago, it was much easier for them to hide information. You know what I'm saying? Hide truth, trick people. But their whole system is set up on their whole system is basically set up from tricking large groups of people to steal. And that's what the immigration thing is about. Uh, that's why they don't want to do reparations. They're hell bent against reparations. They'd rather just go up and smoke than to do Black American reparations. But they're going to be, because what's going to end up happening is we're going to end up giving it to ourselves, though.
So when you say they,
I'm talking
who
about
do you
white people.
mean? Just the government?
White, yeah, it's these white
All
people,
of them?
all of them. There's some of them. Some of the ones that say let's do reparations, they're not in power. And see, that's the trick that's been getting us. They'll mix in the better white folks among us because that's why they have this. Their system is systematic, so it has a hierarchy. If there's white people who are not kind of going with the system of stealing and exploitation and dehumanizing and stuff like that, oh, they'll still be white, but they don't put them in the status of power so that they won't, because they won't do that. They won't put them in the status of power so that they can actually make some real changes. What they'll do is put them around us, and then we're thinking like, hey, Tom's cool, man. He's all good. Oh, Ralph is all right. And so you're thinking like it's got to be some of them. No, but see, it's a systematic thing. See, because they used to steal from each other way back in Europe. You know what I'm saying? That's why their little the little kings and queens and all that kind of stuff. Their little you know autocratic stuff that they used to have in Europe. That's how they used to steal from the peasantry. But now they realize like, okay, we can steal from these other groups, and we can give our kind a little bit of extra benefit that insulates us. This is their system. So anybody that's going to call themselves white, I mean, it's just that's because they are the problem. They are the problem on the planet. The main problem, I'll say it like that. There's other problems, but the
The
one
main part.
the one that is causing it, the centralized group that is, you know, for hundreds of years they've been trying to control everything in the world. They got control of a lot of stuff, and here it is. They don't want to be blamed for stuff being messed up. You know that type of person.
I mean, more than not want to be blamed. They don't want to be held accountable.
That's the same. Yeah, exactly. That's the yeah.
I mean, the reason I say it like that is because anyone can be blamed for anything. I'm just saying this. Hear me out. Anyone can be blamed for anything, but when you talk about holding someone accountable, that's past blame. Now you're talking about responsibility. Now you're talking about punishment. Now you're talking about restitution. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I said it's a.
Yeah, it's
I
level.
get why you say it's the same thing, but
It's level.
it's a slight difference.
No, I agree with you. There's levels to it. I said it's simple. I
And this,
minimized it, but you kind of took the same thing and just exposed more levels to the same concept. So yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, but the main point of that is this is the part that our heart is not built like what they have kind of trained in their community. If you notice, we're more easy to forgive these. We don't blanket them like they blanket us. Okay, we don't tend to do that. Now, some of us do. We're trying to do that, but it's very tough to get our community to blanket other people like other groups of people blanket us. If if uh if a black person comes into a neighborhood and does a crime, and then a different black person comes into that area and does a crime, they on alert for all y'all. It was a couple of black people did they'll tackle your kids, they'll shoot you and say, well, there's a couple of black people that did some crimes here. That's it for all y'all. You see what I'm saying? And same thing with Hispanics, same things with they will say black people do this, black people do that. And when we start telling them what they do, white people do this, all them white people do that, Latino people do this, Chinese people do this. Oh, wait, hold on. You saying every last one of them? Well, that's the same thing they do to us. Exactly. Well, yeah, you don't like it, so why should you do it to them? Because that's what they want us to do. Because you do unto others as you want them to do unto you. You see what I'm saying? That's the one thing we
yeah, I mean that.
we're trying to make people act like us, and I think we're kind of losing at that. We might get one or two of them to be nice, and that kind of we can get them all. Not really, not really. It's not working. Yeah, it
Yeah,
just
that's why I said, do you mean all white? Do you mean all white people? Because, like you said, there are some that are for reparations, but because I didn't talk to them on the personal level, that they won't let them see power so they can help affect the change that needs to happen. And let's be clear, reparations not the end all be all. You know what I'm saying? That's certainly not the end all be all. It will definitely financially help in this space that we're in now, but there are
the thing,
larger forces at play.
well, the thing is, see, what you don't, what a lot of people don't understand because we minimize reparations, and we don't really look into understanding. See, you got to think about this question. Why was it okay for them to make a deal with the Indian native tribes of the red type? Yeah, okay, we're going to give you guys some land here. It's going to be these reservations are going to be for y'all. Yeah, after we stole your land, we did this, we beat you up, but we're going to clean this up with y'all, right? That was okay. They could survive that.
Division.
Hold on. Think about let's look at this pattern. I'm analyzing this pattern of like I'm just gonna say white people. The reason why I'm gonna say it like that because that's what they call themselves, and they are a group. I mean, that's it. Period. And that includes the white Jews. People want to separate them. That's a trick. They all did this together. Now, when everybody's looking at them, now, we're Jews now. We ain't, well, they ain't the same as us. No, y'all all did this. Okay. Now, I mean, it doesn't mean that they are going to vaporize, but like you said, they have to accept certain responsibilities. Well, it's only y'all fault as the Africans. See, they did it. They did. They sold y'all to us. Okay, they didn't. Okay, let's say they did that. They suffering. They can actually do something, but we're focusing on you at this moment because they didn't tell y'all to make the laws that y'all make over here and do what you did over here. They did what they did over there. So we're not going. It's a shell game that they do. So the thing is, white people, they made it was okay for them to make a deal with the Native American. It was okay for them to make a deal once they did something wrong to the Japanese people. They in turn camps with them. They fixed that. They made reparations for that. You see what I'm saying? It's okay. You know what I'm saying? It's okay for them to make a deal with Mexico. That's one of the things where people be messing up talking about the Americans stole California and Texas. Y'all sold it. you know the Treaty of Guadalupe. Y'all sold that whole area. The Mexican people sold that thing for $15 million after a war. So they made a deal. American.
Spain.
Well, Spain was before that, but when they started having the problems with America, true enough, Spain was the one that was running Mexico for a long time, right? Of course, that's why they speak Spanish. But I'm saying the specific thing that happened between America, the United States, and Mexico, the Mexican American War, that got settled with a treaty. They treated, and America paid money that Mexico agreed to. They agreed to it. And the people that were here, that was in those territories called New Mexico and California, what they call it, Upper California and Texas, those they were Mexicans, but they were citizens. They became citizens of America. And that's it. And the ones that didn't want to be citizens, they went back to the other parts of Mexico. So that's it. So these people, and so it's like, so the thing is, it's okay for them to make a deal with them to settle those past problems. But you got to ask yourself, why is it so freaking hell bent? They just don't want to make a deal with the black American people. We know y'all stole our labor. We know you stole our ideas. And you actually stole our land because we used to live somewhere and we don't even know where we used to live. I mean, I know a lot of some of it, yeah, it was Africa, but everybody's from Africa. But we don't, they literally stole our history. You see what I'm saying? So it's like you gotta ask yourself, what will not you talking about the corporate? So that's why I said, what will reparations do to all of this stuff? Reparations to black people, black Americans. You see what I'm saying? And the reason
I
why.
mean, it'll give a level of financial freedom and stability that you largely don't find in our community at this time. And the ones that do have it, more times, it seems more times than not that it came with strings attached that they were all too willing to go along with. I was just checking out Professor Black Truth, and he was talking about Tyler Perry and his new movie, and that it seems like black women might have finally had enough of
Mm,
Tyler Perry and his antics, which
right.
he Professor Black Truth didn't say this part. I'm saying this. What took you so long? I mean, you finally realized that he been clowning you, but I mean, it's been that from the jump. The only movie I've watched of his, and he was a actor in the movie. It wasn't his movie. Was Along Came a Spider. That's it.
Oh,
Other than
okay.
that, I don't have a tolerance for
Good.
foolishness. Even though I've watched Big Mama's House,
You watch
but in
Alex
Big Mama's
Cross?
House, did I watch what?
Alex Cross, the one he did.
No.
It was good. It was
Uh-uh.
good. It wasn't his movie though. He was an actor.
See.
Yeah.
See, he can act. No one's saying he can't act. It's when he becomes the producer and the director that the issues. Well, even when it's acting, but as a producer director, he's the one that decided that he should play grandmother.
Right.
Yeah, and so, oh man, it is. But he's an example of those that have become successful, and it came with strings attached, and he was like, "Sure, whatever, bet,
See,
let's go." Eh,
so let's get
yeah.
back to that, and because what you pointed out makes a lot of sense. So you got to think about this. What will reparations do? Because now you got people who can get to financial freedom without compromise. A large amount of this community here who can be more successful than a Tyler Perry or than a P Diddy or than a Oprah. But guess what? They did not. Now see, because there's talent out there with Tyler Perry and with the Oprah and all this type of stuff. But if you don't bow down to the David Geffens and kiss the butts of all these people, we're not going to know them. You see what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, the
Oh,
doors would be shut for them to get the exposure that they need to be able to capitalize on whatever their craft is. And
exactly.
that's in the industry, and that's why I always, I mean, I try to always be objective. Not that I don't believe that there's a power structure in place, but I think the ultimate trigger is for us to look at it as a color in a colorist way. I understand there are white people that hate black people. It's black people that hate white people.
It's
But
not
if
equal. I
I
mean, I
mean, I'm
know.
not saying it is. I'm just saying in general that there are those in each group. What I'm saying
Right,
is that
but
when
I'll say
when
it like this. I'll say it like this. If it was equal like that, which it should be, but if it was equal like that, because it's like, oh, white people hate black people. Well, I mean, it's black people that hate white people. It's no difference. But the problem is this: the corporate structure, they see a threat in black folks having that a level of financial freedom, but they will layer the white folks who hate. They will give them a little more authority. See, this is the issue. And that's why I was saying what happens is when you give the reparations, now you're giving people authority and some options and power to organize who are not under your boot licking. Now that gives these same people the power to resist this other little guard class that you made. And like I said, I'm not saying that all white folks individually are evil, but as soon as they start talking the stuff that's going to help us, oh no, y'all black now. Well, you're not going to get, because what we're not seeing is systematic. And that's the reason why it's not hate to say white people do this or white people did that. It's not that you hate them. It's not that each individual is doing that. See, that's the trick. They generalize, and it's not saying like black people. There's black people that's hate. There's black people like Oprah. There's black people that's doing. Okay, so it's a general thing here. What you're talking about is group. You're taking this group because it identified itself. This is a group, and this is the issue with this group. It's a system. It's like if you don't abide by the unwritten rules of group authority, then we're going to bust you down to the lower level. Period. So that's what I mean. It may sound like hate, but it's not hate. And now the thing is, if a white person, if I said white people, stole land and labor, and you know they owe reparations. If a person who looks white, if they say, "Oh, that's not fair," if they start arguing over that, that means they are part of the problem because they want to defend that whiteness. They want to defend that stealing. That's cool because otherwise you would just because there's some white people say that's true. That's true. They'll tell you straight up, "Yep, we did." And then when they say we, they're not talking about themselves individually. They didn't do it themselves. They know that. The ones who understand, they're talking about their group. That's what they did. And the thing is, when that issue is directly confronted, and they go ahead and get that restitution going around, they will be happier because then their voices, because their people are also taken out of power. So they don't have, a lot of the people that's running their stuff is not the real representatives of those folks, the good side. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's this, like I said, you got a whole group of people who would like to resist, but they don't have the means. It's like you're binding up their hands and their feet, so they can't they can't really resist properly. See, you can know who's bad, but you can't stop them from doing what they're doing. You see? And so that's the real issue.
Yeah,
That's what the reparations, you know, will will allow. Oh, you still there? Hey, Leroy.
yeah, I'm still here. It's just every time I come off of mute, it seems like it's some background noise. So I'm just gonna come off the mic off of mute when I get ready to speak. I mean,
Right,
it's not that
right.
bad now. I don't know, maybe something changed. But yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. It's just that I think that's their greatest trick, and by they, I'm talking about a specific of the Caucasoid race because they are the most manipulative, and they use that's why I asked you before, like one of our lives, who knows how many back, that do you think that this particular group uses racism to manipulate both? Because that's what I
And
really believe is happening, and by both, I mean uh people who are black, and the other side of both is everyone else. Whether it be white,
hey,
Mexican,
you
uh,
saying hey before
Indians.
hey before you finish because I had checked out. You said but right before that you was like you saying you said something about are they using racism or something like that. Repeat that part because I didn't hear it.
Are they using racism to manipulate both?
Well, yeah.
And by both, I mean you have black people, and the other side of both, which is everyone else, whether they white, Mexican, Indian, and I'm not talking about Native American. I'm talking about East, but you can include Native Americans too, or as they are labeled, or Asians. They manipulate everyone. They when it comes to us, hands down, I have no doubt that they say, well, that they have some smart ones in there that are willing to go along with our plan. But other than that, you know, they're not important. So whatever their concerns are, we 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 take those with a grain of salt and toss it out the window. But then they'll turn around and appease or appear to appease all the other groups by catering to whatever their wants are. If that makes sense.
Mhm. Well, I'll say it like this: the main thing is, yeah, the racism game is going to kind of have to be exposed, but it's going to be hard for a lot of folks because we you think the way we think racism is being exposed is just pretend that it doesn't exist, but yeah, it does exist because it's a system. Okay, and it's not a biological system; it's just a system of grouping people. and it's been running. The system's been running for a few hundred years now, so it's like you can't just pretend that it doesn't exist because everybody is programmed with it. It's going to have to kind of get exposed and kind of naturally kind of wither away. But the way that thing withers away is to take the power away from it. How do you take the power away from it? You have to give back the stuff that y'all they stole. The people, like you said, who were getting unearned benefits, um, they're going to have to stop getting those benefits. And the people who they thought, because they tell many lies to justify stealing from people. And when I say stealing from people, this is what they're doing. They'll be like, okay, y'all got the highest crime in the world. How y'all black people, y'all are criminals, and you guys kill your babies. This is what y'all do. Y'all are bad people. Y'all okay? So this is what. So now, okay, so we got to put more police in your neighborhoods. Okay, see, the police are the little strong arm, the little enforcement arm. So yeah, we got to put more police. We got to watch everything you do. Well, you're not putting all these police in the Asian neighborhood. You're not putting these, doing all this to anybody else. Well, see, y'all criminals. That's the reason why. Look at you. Look, and so they'll show every negative black person. They'll pay and spend more money for people who rap negative. They'll get more corporate money. You see what I'm saying? See that corporate money, even though there's black people who refuse to do that kind of stuff. You don't know them though. You're not going to know them. See, that's what the thing where a lot of us, we don't see what we don't see. We don't even want to pretend like that stuff doesn't exist. But yeah, there's many people that say, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing this. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, that's how they trick everybody. They just show you the negative side, and that justifies stealing from these people. And how do they steal? Oh, they'll charge you more fees and tickets, more fines.
Taxes.
Yeah, well, it's taxes. Yeah, that's stealing. They take
Yeah,
everybody.
yeah.
But then,
Exactly. And see, and that's I think that's one way where you can try and pull those who may be resistant over to your side by showing them that hey, look, they stealing from you too.
well, they already know that.
You
See,
know,
this, see, the
what I mean, because I think the major stipulation that a lot of them stand on is well, my family didn't have slaves.
that's my point. And see, that's where I was getting to.
Or,
This is
hold on, and uh, my family came to America after slavery,
exactly
so
that's
why
what I'm.
should I have to pay?
That's my point. See, look, it's just the same thing as these Mexicans or these so-called these people who are illegal aliens who snuck over the border, which is illegal, and overstayed their visas, which is illegal. What they're doing, they feel just because they went to work,
Hold on. Some of them didn't have visas; they just showed up.
they just showed up. Yeah, exactly. They just ran over here, did what they
Yeah,
wanted to do.
Eh,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
the point.
got a court date and then come show up for court.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Now illegal. Yeah, exactly. So these people now, and so what they do, they feel like just because they went to work, yeah, they did the work. They put up the roof and did the work, and now they got paid. But they feel like this is my money. I worked for it, right? But you got it in a way that was actually not sanctioned because you would not want someone to come to your country and do that same thing. So instead of fighting your government and making sure your government will put some stipulations on these businesses to pay you guys the right good wage. One Mexican woman said, "Oh, if you in Mexico, the minimum wage in Mexico is less than $15 a day." Well, that's y'all. Why don't y'all fight and stop that? Y'all over here protesting and burning shit up. Why don't you go down there and burn shit up and make sure these people pay you the proper way? Have a union. That was the whole point of.
They but they know they can't do that there.
Yeah,
All the things that we're seeing, that's how. I'm saying they can if they can. Okay, I mean that's understood. They can. What I
Powers, they
mean they can't is if they do that, it's not just gonna be police with tear gas shooting people in their left testicle and popping them in the head with a rubber bullet. No,
Mhm.
you vanishing. You
Well,
gone,
we had
and
to
your
deal,
family don't know where you at and may never see you again. That's
we
that's what I mean by can't.
well, we had to deal with that same period of time. That's what the Union history is for. That's what all of the black resistance stuff was for. We was getting killed. Yeah, they killed us. They killed our leadership. All that Martin Luther King stuff, all that Malcolm X stuff, all of that Black Guerrilla Family stuff, all of these the fights for workers' rights and all that stuff. These DuPonts and Carnegies and all of these folks, they were killing people. Yeah, yeah, they'll fight you. They will have people come kill you. But guess what? The workers stood together
Oh,
and they made sure that they got that wage right. And yeah, it was some white people that was with that. That's what I'm saying. So, but at the same time, the reason why they think that they deserve, but one of the things they don't tell you at those times that it was like 3/4 of the union representatives, like the porters and the Pullman groups, they were black folks. Because black people especially those early times before all these the white immigrants came in after slavery. The reason why these white immigrants was needed after slavery is because what there was the slaves was doing all the work, and not they wanted to get paid for doing the work. Fuck that. Let's get some white people in here. You see what I'm saying? That was the situation. That's the reason why so many white people came after slavery, because the black people didn't want to keep working for free, and it was all about labor and money. These are these corporate barons. This is the reason why these same groups of people you was talking about, these corporate issues, that's them. That's the reason why they're like, oh, we cannot give nothing to the black ones. We can give it to Mexicans, we can give it to this, we can give it to that, because all of those people can be deported. Or the white people, they don't need to deport them because they are fully invested in the white mentality. You see what I'm saying? So they don't have to deport them. Or they could be like James, they'll probably run away and go live with is in a non-white country. But
yeah, oh James.
no. But I mean, it's all good. Yeah, people have to be honest. But the point is, they make it seem like white people can work and build their country themselves with their own group labor, with their own ingenuity, and they actually feel like they gotta exploit a whole group of people. They gotta take something and never give it back to them, never resolve it. Okay, that's the problem here, and this is the reason why they keep changing. They undermine this group, that undermine that group, and they never fix it. So yeah, they're this is what. And so when you talking about returning stuff, like you was given stolen property, it's got to be returned. I mean, I know it sounds crazy. It sounds, you didn't steal it personally, but you benefited from something that somebody else got. They got hurt. So it's not that we would say, okay, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna take this from these white people. Get out of here, white folks. Nobody's talking about doing that. See, that's the problem, and that's the problem with these other groups who's trying to resist our reparations. Nobody's telling them that here we go. We're gonna come take out of your pocket here, or we're gonna move you off the land. Yeah, true enough. The land that you're on was literally taken from our family. We have records of it. We were killed to get this here that you're living on currently, but we're not gonna do that to you. This is what we're gonna do. We want to do this in a decent fashion. We're gonna go over here, but we want our reparations from the system. You see what I'm saying? We're not saying, oh, let's take it out of this guy's pocket. Now, if you in another community and you got a problem with me getting my stuff right, you are the enemy. You know what I'm saying? You are white. You are those. You are the same as those ancestors. That's why I said, like, if
Okay, okay.
you with me,
I mean that's true, but we
exactly what.
also have some in our community, our own community, who don't want us to have reparations, like Jason Whitlock. He doesn't believe that
Why?
black people should get
Well, why?
reparations. To people like him, they believe that our reparations was, being set free,
Okay. No.
from slavery, and that's by far not equitable in the
Okay.
least. I mean,
But look.
just to say that you free, great, you took the shackles off, but you didn't try and uh, provide any kind of resources based on what you have gained over, we'll just say, 100 years of free labor, just to
It,
keep the number round.
nah, it was
Yeah, yeah.
200
I mean,
at least.
yeah. Yeah. I'm not saying that's the actual number. I'm just saying just to keep the number round. If it's just 100 years worth of free labor, the way I explained it in my younger years to people I would talk to about it was that, you know if it's not a big deal for those who oppose reparations, if it's not a big deal, then how about you start out with some slaves and you have them for 100 years and see how financially well off you'll be if you don't have to pay people who are working for you.
Exactly.
And
You got
yeah,
generations and your
yeah.
kids. You own their kids.
Mhm.
What somebody
but
own
but
your
see
daughter?
that.
Listen to that. Think about that, man. I mean, we're not really even thinking about this real right. Look at your kids, your daughters, and then this man, you tell, hey, babe, hey, clean this up, clean this house up, do this, and here the white man comes in. Nah, I'm gonna make some babies with her. What the fuck? Right in front of you? This is your daughter. You know what I'm saying? It see, there was so much. See, and when you look at the black people in our dysfunction, we got so many people like a Jason Whitlock, like Oprah, like Tyler Perry, who coon up because this has been over. It has been successful to them. To them for generations. They feel like, hey, we got to get what we got to get. So that kind of uh mentality has been kind of like a successful. They got to kiss white ass. They feel like I got to do what I got to do. He know damn well that don't make no damn sense. Oh, well, just take the shackles off, and that's your reparations. How the hell does that repair? No.
Oh no, it absolutely doesn't. That's why I said that's just taking the shackles off. That's not equitable. And for the people that believe the word, I always give them the example, and this is specifically for those that oppose reparations. The Israelites, when they left Egypt, the Egyptians was giving them everything they got out the house while they was leaving. He'll take earring. They had all kind of stuff, all kind
Exactly.
of golds and
How long did they have?
silver and whatever else.
How long did they have to fight and survive to get to that point where they were their stuff?
400 years.
Exactly. So we at least 400 years. So that's what people got to understand, that it's a process, and you don't back down on your process just because you see, oh, this doesn't apply to this individual. You see what I'm saying? Because it doesn't say, oh, every individual Egyptian isn't. They don't say it. It said the Egyptians, the children of Israel. It don't say so. In the children of Israel, there was some Jason Whitlocks. There was some, all of that stuff was there too. You see what I'm saying? And then there was some good Egyptians probably who wasn't, on that train. But the point is, this was a group thing versus a group thing. It wasn't about hatred or nothing like that of individuals. This is just what has to happen. Period. And like I said, people who want to do there's something. I seen something about reparations to some Australian people. I don't know if you read that. It was some Australian Aborigines had to get some reparations. I wasn't mad. Oh man, no, no, that ain't right. We need to stop them from getting that reparation. They don't need that because they survived. Like, I'm glad that they get it. So how what makes someone in another community, you already got what you got. You got what you got. But now it's like, okay, we need to go ahead and fix this situation. It's been going for too long. Yeah, we did these people wrong. We did a whole entire group wrong. It's 40 some million of these people. Okay. We did their ancestors wrong for not just one generation, not even 10 generations. We've been doing them wrong for at least 20 something generations. And you think these people ain't going to be a little crazy? That's why I'm saying about patience. That's why I'm like, true enough, I can get mad and I can oppose people like Roland Myron or even Jason Whitlock or, stuff that Tyler Perry does with Char Witchy, these type of people, even Obama, he's not of the same exact lineage, but to me, it's okay. But my thing
Yeah,
is, I don't,
Westmoreland.
I don't get as mad at them because I understand to them in their mind, this strategy has succeeded for them for a long time. And to them, they got to get what they got to get. So we still have to oppose them. We have to take them down. We have to expose that crap and reject that crap. They have to be punished. But the thing is, I understand why they think they're right. I can actually understand why they think they're right, but they're not because it's just because that kind of behavior has been rewarded. You know what I'm saying? That kind of behavior has been rewarded for so many generations. So why wouldn't they do it?
Because they have an obligation to that. Look, I'm not saying this in the literal sense, but it's because they have an obligation to their community, but they don't,
Well, they don't
and
need
that's
it,
why they
I
have
guess.
no issue. That's why they had no issue taking the 30 shekels of silver to do what they shouldn't. And that's one of the points I was making to, I think it was Reginald Henry. I think you saw it where he was asking, well, what are you doing to, how did he put it? I think make things better in our community or something like that. And I told him, dude, I helped form the largest black city in
Oh yeah,
America.
yeah, yeah.
And he said, well, why don't you go get the Republicans to straighten it out, or let them run the city. I told them as if they would be better. How about people that are elected to a position do what they should,
Right,
but too many times, back to what I just said 2 minutes ago, they ready to take the 30 shekels of silver and the hell with whoever put me here or how I got here or all the rest of it. I, it's all about receiving instant gratification now. And if that means I can take a shortcut and cut someone else out, then I mean that's fine.
right,
This is from their point of view, not mine.
right. And that's my point. So when you're talking about doing the reparation thing. And the thing is, their system collapsing so bad that I told people, I was like, we're like, I don't know if you ever played like the games like Street Fighter or something like that. You battling somebody, right? And
Mhm.
you got more life than them, and they got like a little life, and the time is running out. And they trying to get you. They're trying to hurry up and get you and get your life away, and you just blocking everything. You protecting yourself. You don't need to hit them no more. Just a time. Five, four, three. You gonna win?
Just run the clock.
Yeah, you win. The clock is running out on these people, and the land ain't going nowhere. The only the
to,
way they
to
can
your
get
point though,
mm,
to your point about how how the government structure and everything is breaking down here. Well,
mm,
that's been evident since it started. Because I mean, when you look at history, things have gotten progressively when I say worse, I mean it's levels to it. Like
Right.
they start the country was started. A lot of people had to die for them to establish this government and all that. Then you move forward. Then more people are put in position to be over those who uh, give this structure free labor. They get rid of that. Then you got another 100 years where we are excluding those who we just set free from participating in the structure of the government to an extent where they can benefit themselves, and we're shutting them out of society to where they have to live amongst themselves and figure it out. And in a lot of instances we did, and that was met with attacks. Okay, then you move past that, things seem to be better because now there's a lot less, and I'm talking about in near history, not recent history. Near history, I mean, between the '60s and uh, and 1999,
Right.
that there was still some issues, but I think things were becoming to a point where there was less animosity based on color and just how to profit or capitalize on where we are in the society that we are in. Move past that to recent history. Now it's we have major technological advances that they didn't have when the government structure had free labor. But now there's the animosity based on color is back, and then you add sexism, and I don't mean as far as sexism towards women. I mean in general, meaning pitting men against women and women against men, whether they are black or white. When we start to discuss or understand what feminism is and the effect that it has, that's why I said sexism. So it's because it's used on both sides. But now we're at a point where they tell us things that aren't true or that we've realized now that we've been lied to all along. Like, what was it when the smartphone came out? Hey, this got more computing power than they had when they went up on Apollo 13, only to find out that we ain't been to the moon. So, it's a lie, but in my hand is this technological that I'm pretty sure when they was having gunfights and all this and was using what is it, Morse code to communicate. They probably didn't have a concept that people would be able to talk to something in their hand and speak to someone on the other side of the world. But now, we are in a space where now people want what is owed to them. Those that were, those that are descendants of those that weren't free.
Right.
And what you were saying about what benefit will it have? Yeah, it'll remove the barriers that have been put. It'll remove some of the barriers, and I say some because once again, reparations isn't the end all be all, but it would have the possibility to make life here more equitable between those that you know are descendants of those that
And
weren't free
you
and those
understand
that
what reparations is in the community, that when you really study, I'll say it that way. If you really study the history and you understand what reparations concept is, um, yeah, it's actually I was when you say end all be all, as far as the current situation, as far as racism, it is that it's definitely the main linchpin of racism. Racism didn't get built up all around the world over just with somebody just making it up real quick. It did take time. It took time for them to do that. A couple hundred years actually to make this really racist. I wouldn't say a couple hundred years. Way back in the 1600s, they started uh, doing racist court filings and and deciding like, okay, we're not going to just do indentured servitude and slavery with Indians, whites, and blacks. We're just going to say, okay, these blacks, they're going to be able to be enslaved forever, and their children can be enslaved. Everything. Do you understand? We don't even think about how insane that is. I can own your child. You basically are a little cow or a chicken or something. You see what I'm saying? And this happened for generations. That actually got whole communities and people accustomed to that kind of thinking that was true. It wasn't true, but they were raised up in that kind of way where these black ones, something wrong with them. You see what I'm saying? And so that right there is there's a that was the court was the linchpin to start that mess. But that reparations, you start giving some power to these so-called black ones that supposedly got a problem, and they start performing, and now they start influencing the direction of the country, not with protest but with power. You see what I'm saying? If I control a territory or a couple states, and we don't got to be sellouts, I can run some real officials up in there that don't have to sell out, and you can't attack them just because of you know how they can just tank the white the people who are kind of authentic just because you need money to run for office, so they can just tank anybody official who's legitimate. So if you don't have the money, access to the donors, then you can run a Hakeem Jeffries up there. You can run people who are pathetic, because it doesn't matter if they agree with the people, as long as the donors, because the donors have the money. But if the donors don't have all the money, you see, now they can be challenged. So, and James talking about Ibrahim Traore, and that like I said, that's another linchpin that shows that these Western powers have too much crap going on, that they can't manage all of their evil bullshit that they've been spreading all over the planet. And it,
And that's when the breakdown reaches a level where it starts to speed up
it
because you spread. And that's what happened to Rome. You spread yourself so thin, you're
mhm,
thinking you're running everything, and pretty soon you find out that way out there in the outpost,
mhm.
something's happening, and it
Just
starts. That line starts coming closer and closer to home base
right.
until
And just like
at the
if you think about it, that general, that black general who tried to speak up against Ibrahim Traore, right? He was a bootlick. He was a Negro like Jason Whitlock, but at the same time, the black folks, we did not support him here. We know he's a bootlick, and that's the reason why the fight for reparations is kind of important, because I mean, and we trying to actually get some, because it's not about just saying, oh, we want this and we want that. No, we're trying. No, bro, we need our money. We need it. And the thing is, if you ain't gonna give us what we supposed to have, we're gonna stop helping you. We're gonna stop helping you like we've been helping you. Well, if you don't help us, Trump's gonna get elected. Well, I mean, whatever. Oh well, if you don't help us, then Iran's gonna beat Israel up. Oh well, whatever. If you don't help
hey, no, let me add one.
us,
If you don't come out here and support illegals being here, then you next. You getting deported. I mean,
They didn't help us. It did they, so funny. I was listening to one thing. They were talking about it was some illegal, or I don't know if they were legal, whatever they were, some Mexican person talking about something. Well, Dr. King said your great ancestor. Well, do you like Dr. King? Well, yeah, you like Dr. King. He said injustice anywhere is just it was said just injustice one place is injustice everywhere, basically.
Yeah, injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere.
Right. I was like, nah, that's true. So y'all gotta help us because it's injustice. I was like, wait a minute, no. But he told you that way back in the 1960s when we was getting the injustice and y'all didn't give a damn. So now the injustice is everywhere. See how that works? See, when he was telling you that, that's when you was supposed to jump. And now the injustice is everywhere. We can't stop that now. What we gonna do?
Or look, or even if you don't jump then, between then and now, there have been many opportunities for
That's
you
my
to
point.
jump.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
exactly.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
it's
you
still it's
that and get us to start fighting for your shit. Y'all come up here. You and the reason why we've been telling them even with the immigration thing. Okay, I tell people straight up, hey, it's okay. You're a border country. You're supposed to be able to come over and and then but I should be able to come back over there. So if you ain't fighting for your country and y'all making $15 a day, I don't want to go over there. Y'all got the Sinaloa cartel. Y'all got the damn, all of this shit. They're gonna kidnap me and all this old mess. I don't want to go over there. So why don't you fight for your country? That way I can come over there. Some of y'all could come over here because you like it, not because you're trying to run away and because you're trying to make more money and then you sending it back home and so you can look like the big man at home and something like that. You're like, I'll go to Canada. I'll go to Canada because I want to, and I'll just come back. It's okay. It's like you supposed to be able to go place because you want to go, not because you're a refugee and all of this stuff. So the pressure should have been on these so-called lawmakers. Y'all ain't do y'all damn job and come up with something which you know damn well you can. You can't just let and y'all just wanted to undermine the unions because that's what it was about. The unions was negotiating fair wages, safe work practices, and they were like, and the corporations was like, fuck these people. We don't give a damn about them. We want to have cheap labor. This is what we're gonna do. So we're gonna get the politicians to ignore the immigration stuff so that these people can come over, keep working. And they used, and I say this all the time. There used to be circuits of farm workers. They were black and white, and some Mexicans. They were white people and black people. They used to get their families, and we talked about this the other time, and they have it on old videos. They have little towns. Their people would go through in the circuit. Like you would pick, I go here, we go here to pick peaches, we go here, and then we go here to pick this, and we go there to do this. They had circuits all throughout the United States of farm workers. There wasn't hardly no a bunch of Mexicans except on the West Coast like that. There was black people and it was white folks. That's who did it. And it was cool. It was good work. People did it and people will do it. But that was destroyed now because you just, undercut everybody. Even the carpentry unions and businesses, they messed all that up, especially on the West Coast, East Coast. I don't know. They actually, to me, they destroyed the carpentry union down there in Atlanta because the Mexicans came in and they mess everything. It's not that it's really not even necessarily their direct fault. I'm not even really mad at them.
well,
They gotta go. See, that's what I mean by like it's not just because you gotta go or I have to oppose what they trying to do, that doesn't mean I'm mad at them. You see what I'm saying? It's just like I know It's just like basically like if I got if I drop the money back, right? How much of my money was flying all over the place. I understand that you want to pick that money up, but this is my money. I got to get out there and defend that money, right? So that's the situation. It's not the real people is the one that's not doing their job and making the right correct law so that we can go ahead and get the people coming over a decent process. If you want to come over here and make some money and work for like, maybe 4 or 5 months or something, okay, we got you a little limited thing. You better come back for your court whatever or whatever it is that you're supposed to report back for. Otherwise, you're not allowed to come back. You see what I'm saying? That's how that should be.
Oh yeah, I mean that would be smart. I mean they are giving them the opportunity to receive some funds and
Right.
leave voluntarily, and then you can come back. But
Exactly.
they some of them won't even do that, and those that support them who are out here marching should be saying, "Look, man, the smart thing is to take the
That's the
money and
smart.
leave and come back."
But see, they don't
Uh,
want the smart thing. They don't want the smart thing. They want to try. They're always trying to get black folks involved. They want to pretend like it's a civil rights thing, like our stuff. They always trying to pretend like it's our thing. They don't have the same struggle as us like that. They got a whole entire country that's theirs. You see what I'm saying? This is what I don't understand about that. Like, dude, y'all got an entire country that y'all know y'all citizens of. Y'all know where you came from. You got your whole situation there. You can just go there and fight for your little area. You can grow food where you want to grow. You got your friends that you grew up with. Y'all got a whole country. Okay, so y'all coming to another country trying to protest like y'all some civil. It's not the same thing. We, like I said before, our situation is where our land was stolen from us. And then the memory of our land was stolen from our minds. They refused to let us read. They refused to let our parents speak to us in their original languages. See, we don't get it because they made sure that they were trying, and this is in their documented uh, little legislation, especially it show is when Nat Turner finished doing what he did. They have a some congressional language that's preserved. They was trying to strip all of they said light that will come into the mind of the Negro, and then they should be safe, basically. And what they meant by light is education and knowledge of their history. They intentionally, and they did this with some of the Native American tribes too. They intentionally forced these people to make the kids go to these certain schools where these white kid teachers could educate them, and then they make sure they have to dress a certain way and whatever. And you can't speak your other language. You see what I'm saying? So you have a whole entire generation that grows up. It's like we don't know, we don't want to deal with none of that mess. And so now this erases your actual culture and your history. And that's what happened to us. We don't. That's why we just think we just complete Americans. No, we're not. We ain't the same. And that's why they've been treating us different. If we was the same, we wouldn't even have a problem. That's what Malcolm X said. He was like, if we was the same, we would not have a problem. We would have a different problem. See, so that's the problem. It's like you got to go ahead and face up with the truth and be like, okay, we're gonna have to deal with this. And other groups can't come. Oh, well, it's the same thing as civil rights. Y'all begging the white man for reparations. Nigga, y'all, begging. We're advising them. Hey, it's probably smart that y'all did
it,
that.
you know what? That's the same way people say that you're complaining.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen this video where the guy said he was talking about what's going on with a black guy. And he said that, well, no, y'all the same people that tell us, stop complaining about racism and pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Well, that's y'all turn.
Stupid. Yeah.
that you seeing that you seeing what it is, and I, I'll combine with that. we not coming to the rescue in the way of supporting y'all efforts to
Right.
say the hell with everybody here, because when they come in, they work under the table, which I mean you don't have to do that because you're not legitimate, in the eyes of the government, but you also you know reduce the numbers of openings in jobs for those
Right.
that are here, and
Yeah.
wages.
And then not only that, they actually start businesses, right? Which is, you know, if they were legal, that's fine. But they start businesses and then they only hire their people. And they will go to other businesses like Whites or what have you and be like, hey, I got my cousin, he'll work cheaper for you. They will undermine the existing domestic workers' money. And there's many employers that straight up tell you, like, yeah, this is what's happening, this is what they're doing. Because they'll start their companies, their businesses. And BMT even says that. Man, Paco will come down there, he'll have all his guys, and they all stay in the same place. You don't live like that. You see what I'm saying? We don't live like that. We live here. We ain't got nowhere else to go. They sending money to Mexico. It's $15 a day. They buy a whole house and everything. You see what I'm saying? So they're just coming up here skimming off this system, and they can run back. Even when they get deported, that ain't really no punishment. They're just mad because they lost some money, but it ain't like it's killing them. You know what I'm saying? Ain't like
You
they
know
got
what? Maybe it's as simple as this: the work has already been put in here, so maybe they believe, and we can't leave this out, that, and it's both parties, it's in both parties here of late, is been the Democratic side, but they have been encouraged to come here. But
exactly.
maybe it's, hold on, maybe also add this though, that you know could it be as simple as, well, the work has already been put in America, meaning the unions and everything else are in place, so I can just go over there instead of trying to fight the government I'm under here to try and change it. I'm not
No,
saying it's right or wrong. I'm
no,
just
no.
saying that maybe that
That would be.
factors into their thought process.
I would say that's good, but you can't come over here saying now that Mexico, 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 nigga, you ran. If it's Mexico, 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 then why aren't you there making sure that that is unionized and stuff like that? You're gonna come over here with the unions and with the, even if you're not in the union, but you're undercutting all of the labor markets, and they know what they're doing. It's not that they don't. They know exactly what they're doing because they say it. They'll get on TikTok and say it, but then they'll fly that Mexican flag. So you're turning this into that, which you didn't like. You're making the
Hey, and that, look, the same is true for the Californians that leave California. Then wherever they go to, they vote like they still in California, and you turn the place you went to into the place that you left.
exactly, and that's my point. So the thing is, and that's the whole thing. So if it's warfare, just say that. But if it's something that you didn't like, okay, let's deal with that. But my thing is like this. It really this centers around, is to me, is black folks here. We're the group that they are. Everybody's really, I won't say everybody, but people. The system is based off of stealing from us first. And when I say stealing, I'm saying the old labor they don't want to pay back, the literal land that we have documented history of them stealing from, just running people off their land. Okay, even now today we got history or document they come up, they go into courts and they come up with all this eminent domain and bullshit where they split the family up and then they'll get one family member to sell a little piece and then everybody got sold now because of this shit. And they have so many schemes all across the country where they've been stealing our land, our labor. They huddle people up in places, and then you pay your house off for a year. And one little technicality, and they got somebody downtown like that. One man, the Indian, it was an Indian man though, did this. He went down to the records department and got this man's house, this black man's house, put in his name. and the Indian man's name, East Indian type. This is in Atlanta, and that man was 70 something years old, and and they were talking about evicting him. It had him evicted from his house that he paid off.
Wow.
Yeah, that's in Atlanta area, Ellenville, I think, Ellenwood.
Ellenwood, yeah. I mean that does surprise me because I mean we talked earlier, offline about how they are trying to build a highway through a neighborhood right now.
Villa Rica.
And I mean, it's not like you didn't know you was already going that direction.
Right.
So if that's what you want to do, just go
So
to the people in that neighborhood and say, look, this we need to negotiate on y'all properties, and we
yeah,
willing to
both.
pay fair market value.
Right, and not
You know,
even
if
that. I
if
mean,
it's that look, if
fair
if it's
market
if it's that important to you to have that road, then I mean it shouldn't be an issue.
ain't no fair
These people you
market
want.
value. No. If I'm coming to you, okay, you live there. You don't need me. I need you to move. There is no you double it. No fair market value because obviously the market is increased. I can't buy your house for the same thing you could sell it for, that everybody else could sell it for. You see what I'm saying? I need you to move. You don't need to move. So that company obviously has an increased interest in your area. The law should be like I need to double what your fair market value is, or something.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And by fair market value, by that I do also mean that if there's any interest incurred, that those who want the road completed, they have to foot the cost of that because you want to build this street, there's people there, you got to pay for them to leave.
And
If you really want it that bad.
Mhm. And then there's another case in Georgia where this family has had their house, black family, of course, had their property for over 100 years in their family, and now this railway company wants to go through their property, and like you can't just do shit like that. Like if they don't want you to come through their property, yeah, you want to build your little business, but what if we could just come take your business? How come your business is sacred and this man's property is not sacred? See what I'm saying? That's the problem here. People
Look,
the
I
business.
I describe it like this. So here in Atlanta, we have the where it's called the Mercedes Benz now, where the Falcons play in
Right.
Atlanta. What is it? Not the Dream, whatever they call it. It'll come to me.
It's a
The
Falcon
kickball
Stadium.
team.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So when they were talking about building this and coming to the city and for the tax breaks, the owners, they had the city council had a meeting and allowed people to come in and speak for or against the measure. This thing went
Right.
on for 18 hours.
Speak.
There was, yeah, there was this one white lady who got up and said, "I wonder why you not trying to build this, uh, uh, near in my neighborhood, near where I live?" Because she opposed it, and she said that I know why you not gonna come our direction because you're gonna get sued.
Right.
We gonna stop you. We gonna come together. We gonna stop you. But you go over here to the other side of the town where there's little to no resistance, and basically do what you want.
Yeah, because you can bully these people.
Yeah, 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 and that's exactly what they're doing in Sparta, the area you're talking about, where they want to build this import, whatever the hell that means, and just take somebody's land and do what they want to do. But see, if they were met with, we'll just say, physical resistance to keep it clean, then the people bringing the physical resistance, they would be subject to punishment under the law, even though they're protecting what belongs to them.
Right. And that's my point. Like the law respects money more. And that's the reason why they do now. See, so when we fall for these arguments about reparations, like, do you know how much how lucrative it is to have a weakened black community? That's you can steal from them. That literally could just go in there, and it's like, look, it looks legitimate nowadays. Yeah, let's the Mercedes Benz Stadium. Yeah, yeah, we bought your church. Just get out of there. But if we didn't, if you didn't take the money from the church, we still gonna build it. We just gonna go to your politicians and do an eminent domain. You're gonna get less money. See what I'm
Yeah, but the trick when it came to that is they still use the government, meaning Kasim Reed, and he leveraged
saying?
the people or the church organizations, you know, the denominations that own those churches into
Right.
paying. One I think got 14 and the other one got 16 million, which was
Uh,
way more than what they were being offered at first. What compounds the issue from there is once they receive that money, it's not like they, you know, made the community they moved into better. You see what I'm
right.
saying? Or built another church close by and shared some of those proceeds to try and make their parishioners better off. Not saying you're gonna pay them 100 grand a year, but there are measures that you can take, even if it is as simple as this, Mike. Well, since we sold that building, we have more than enough to buy a new building. We're in the new building, uh, at least for the foreseeable future, unless some changes. We're going to suspend passing around the plate at this church because we were
Or
able to benefit.
school,
We
if
were
it's
able
like
to benefit
in
from
school, we're gonna have a community
Yeah,
school.
in of that, in it. That's what I'm saying. Do things that's actually gonna benefit the community and spend
That
some of that largesse that you just received.
or we force Mercedes Benz to, implement this program in the neighborhood that recurs for the next 20 years, for the youth. You know what I'm saying? We can facilitate it, but we'll make sure they pay for it, fund it for 20 years. That's part of what we want. We don't know what to even ask for. So that's my point. Like, that's the reason why you gotta have this reparations things, because the thing is our community has to be made independent. And the thing is, if they don't want to do the reparations though, we just all we gotta do really is stop helping them. Just stop it. That's why I just pull back from the politics stuff, work on our own stuff. Don't even worry, like you said, the Spanish, like, where's the black people? No, bro, we ain't, just
And you know what? Maybe this could be. I'm gonna call in tomorrow on some local stations and bring this point that maybe this is the beginning of something that we haven't seen before because this isn't a leader coming out. Not and when I say leader, I'm using quotation marks
right, right.
because what the leaders that we are given are absolutely atrocious.
Well,
Uh,
that's
it,
their,
ho-
yeah, bootlicks.
hold on, man. There wasn't a leader that came out and said, "All right, black people, we're not participating in this." We just all came to a collective understanding that yeah, we ain't back in this play. You
Right,
know, we sitting this one out, and and black people probably to a man, a black person in particular, you'll get many different reasons for why they are saying, yeah, no, I ain't getting out there. Some people it's gonna be because they're illegal. Some people it's gonna be, well, no, we told you to vote for Kamala and you chose him, so you get what you get. Some gonna say, well, I'm not going out there because I haven't seen y'all support us. You
right.
see what I'm saying? So it's different reasons, but it all came to the same result that yeah, now even though you'll see now in this one, we are the dots in the crowd, meaning it's still some of us that's out there, but by far not in mass. Whereas if they would have came out in mass, we'd just say when Michael Brown was murdered.
Yeah,
or when Trayvon Martin was murdered,
right,
or when Miss Johnston Hill was murdered.
right. Amadou
Then,
Diallo.
then
So many different people, and then
yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah. Eric Garner. If they Oscar Grant. If they since we're 13, 14% of the population from what they tell us, if those other groups that are of color came out in mass, then they would outnumber us out there. But then there would be a collective, um, for lack of a better term, come to Jesus moment by the powers that be. Because then they'll realize that, oh, damn, we have overstepped because now we have drawn the ire of all of them to
right.
us.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm about to get out of here because I got to get out and go to damn Nevada again. About to start hooking up some more extra work and stuff. But yeah, these people, I mean, like I said, I mean, the thing is, one of the things that we got to understand is we got to start taking care of our own business. And now Israel and Iran, just don't go, make sure all these people want to send their kids to the military. I told my, do not, do not participate. Let it crumble. We always trying to stop this and stop that and save it. No, get out of their business. Let them. They go figure it out because just like with Netanyahu, all of these people, they they're bloodthirsty killers, and they really can't survive unless somebody's supporting them. And if we pull back from supporting this madness in the United States and from participating in this mess, then he's gonna collapse too. You see the domino effect just from us. You see what I'm saying? So
Oh yeah.
just from us, because you got to realize we are what they call. We were here before the country was even called the United States. So the whole thing is based. We are a foundational, what they call foundational Black American, but we're literally the foundation. We're integral to the concept of the United States of America that everybody understands. But we have been hidden from the mainstream of the historical narrative. So people think white people, all these other people think, oh, white people built it everything. White people built everything. They don't really understand how we were right there at every point in time, and all we have to do is just stop. And then their whole stuff started. They don't. Well, how come we can't do this? They don't know why it's not working right. They don't.
So check this out. On our next program, we got to cover this. It involves something you just said, and I don't even know where to start to research
Uh-huh.
it. Here it is. We being people that was here before Columbus arrived.
Right.
Is it possible that the transatlantic slave trade was done to flood the pool? Meaning, okay, we showed up and we want all of this. We can't just take it because we outnumbered and they ready. So if we bring in others that look like them but make them slaves and create this whole subset, once we set them free, then we can have the whole pie. Because
Man, I feel like this. These people, they uh, they they came up with different plans over different periods of time. They first they want to they came out with the Pope. So you got to realize the center of the knowledge. Okay, so the planning has to be done by the smarter section of their community. So when it was like the 1500s, after Spain had fell, or excuse me, Spain had conquered the Moors in Spain, and Isabel and Ferdinand came out. The Spanish were the first ones to kind of start moving around the earth as far as the Europeans. Columbus came out. He immediately made slaves. He tells you that in his journals. He abducted them and made slaves out of the natives. So just to, right there tells you who's in slavery as far as the European slavery. It was, it wasn't people just coming straight from Africa like that. But he had
Okay,
blacks.
so there you go. That means I mean, would it be incorrect to say that then the transatlantic slave was done to flood the pool, to muddy the waters, and the same thing is happening now. That's why when James, I think one of his comments said that he doesn't care about the past, just the present and the future. Well, if
Yeah,
come on, James, you don't know your past, you're doing the repeat it. If this is being repeated, then it's all a setup.
right. It's
It's
just,
all a setup.
but that's my point. So when I was saying like, okay, so Columbus was sent over here, but see, the history as far as the planning part, what you're talking about, that has to only be done by people who understand the past and try to plan the future. It's not done by the this raggedy type of people who do what they do, like these lower level type white folks. I say it like that. Um, these people, they're the religious leaders. So it's the Catholic Church, those popes and all of those little bishops, they call them heathens and stuff like that. That's what they were doing. The King of England, John Hawkins, and the one she sent out was John Hawkins, the Queen of Elizabeth. These are the people who's like, okay, here's my strategy. So yeah, they were strategizing, but guess what? They were actually competing with each other for what they could steal. The native populations that were non-whites, okay, these people were considered part of the land. They were considered animals, like they connected to the land. They didn't want to consider them people. You see what I'm saying? And so that's the issues that a lot of us aren't wanting to work with. You know, these people consider they made the mistake of trying to consider other human beings as non-human, but they knew they were kind of human, so they could trick us. But you know, that's what they were doing at the highest stages of planning, and this is what the result is. So it's that racism type of mentality, and but later on, yeah, they say, oh, this is then, yeah, true enough, later on after they got it started, you can say, oh yeah, they try to do this, or they made this plan to try to muddy the waters, the Jews, with the with their their lie
Slave
of,
ships.
no, but really it was their lie. Yeah, it was the slave ships. They did some of that too, but
Oh yeah, yeah.
no,
So
no,
I
the
just
real,
said slave ships because that's a tool.
hold on, but
You see what I'm
the
saying?
point, I don't want to forget my point. The point of them, me mentioning them, they came up with that Hamitic curse, that myth that uh I think it was Noah or his kids seen him, or was it Noah or Moses? But one of them, I think it was Noah, his child
Noah.
seen him. Yeah, and then he turned him black because that was a curse, and it was like, oh, that's what these people are. They're hewers of wood and stuff like that. They made that up, and they made that up to justify
Just,
taking over all of
just
these.
like
Mhm,
just like blood libel.
right, but these are the same. They also made up their lies against each other. That's why they're white people, but they want to pretend like there's something different. Oh, we're Jews. We're not white. Y'all, y'all the same people. Y'all just call yourself
Are
something
you
different.
back?
And these people was Catholics, and so, yeah. So it's like, yeah. At first they was competing against each other, stealing each other's money, and and stuff, and labor. But then when they realized, like, oh, really, we could do this together. So that's when they start just respecting each other's countries, white countries, and they really don't respect anything that's not white. They, you know, they start respecting the Chinese and all that stuff later because they couldn't take them over that's easy because they kept a lot of their
and and,
culture.
and they see how they can, yeah, but they also see how they can use them to manipulate others because it is a master. Not, I do not agree with it at all. I'm just describing it. It's a master manipulation. What was done to remove industry from America?
No, that's the same thing we were just talking about earlier. This is the result of that. That's what we've been talking really about. They removed the industry to undermine the unions and the power of the black negotiating, uh, not just the black, but mainly it was a lot of black people negotiating. They removed the industries because those was located in the cities. And if you remember the Great Migrations, a lot of the black people came up from the South because to work, right? They were working in the
Yeah.
industries building up America. Then also the reason why I said undermine the black negotiating power is because they brought in after slavery, they had the black people wanted to get paid now after the Civil War and everything, and they brought in their European folks and created the unions. But there was still a lot of black folks who had the skills of the labor class. So we were negotiating our pay, our money. See what I'm saying? So that same pattern was repeating itself even through the 80s and stuff. So that's when they said, okay, we're gonna remove this industry because we're gonna put it in China. That's gonna break the power of these folks to negotiate. Then we can still bring the products back here and sell it to the Americans and make money. And we can also bring this labor in here from Mexico and stuff. And that will undermine their negotiating power against us. So that's what that is. That's the whole that was Reagan and them.
Over time.
Reagan did that, and not just Reagan, but yeah, it was them.
And,
They've been
yeah, and Billy and shit and Nixon too.
well, they was,
Because
but they,
he's the one that opened the door to China.
but they
You
all
know,
were.
they didn't even think. You remember the '80s? Think about the car makers. They were making exact duplicates of what was here and selling it here, but it was coming from over there with a different name on it. Like remember Geo?
Mm-hmm.
You had the Geo Prism, which was what an American car, but it was just like the Toyota Corolla.
Right,
That was to get them up, to start them with a foothold and make the assimilation of people being where instead of getting the Prism, I'm gonna get the Toyota, and now there's no more Prism.
right. Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, it's not even just the prison, but see, right now, the reason why there's so much work, and I don't know if you be looking at how we be posting on there, there's so much work around the United States now, is because they're they're having they're for because of the war of climate that's happening in the planet, and Donald Trump, they have to invest here now, otherwise they're gonna die because they are American companies. So they have to reinvest here. Their chips have to be made here. All these things have to be made here so that they can even strengthen the seat because they undermine themselves so much, just trying to undermine the unions and the labor class and the black negotiating powers, that they actually undermine themselves because they thought that they could survive because they were globalists. They thought that they could survive without a base. And now the America doesn't even have the power now to even support Israel, which is them. But these are the corporate bosses here, these Israelis. And now they're like, oh shit, we need America to be a little strong here. You know, so they, they just messed up all the way around. They just gotta do the right thing. At a certain point, it's like God got their butts. They think they're so smart, but they're just not that smart because these things had to be done over time. It's not like you could just oh, you know, like this guy in this generation, he may make one plan, but then it messes up the guy in the next generation, 2 generations later. See what I'm saying? So they're not God. They don't got the good. They don't see down the history of time and know how to make that plan where it's gonna work out. You know what I'm saying?
Well, thank you, Lord, for throwing a monkey wrench in their plans.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, 'cause we supposed to be dead by now. Really, that's their plan. That's what Margaret Sanger tried to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they can't. They don't know what they're doing. That's my whole point. Well, let me get out of here, man. I'll talk to you later.
That's what's up. Hey, yeah, hit me up when you're on the road.
Okay. All right.
All right. Sure.
All right, everybody. Peace out.